Damn, it's Uncle Makara
Greetings, gods
again.
and goddesses in training. Welcome back to the channel. It is Uncle Makara, all relations. Right now, I am in the Surpar Monastery guest house in Bailakupe, and what an incredible experience. I had just met with the abbot. We had lunch together with the abbot, as well as, the monks offered me some coffee afterwards. It was quite nice. Now I'm just relaxing. After a little break, I want to speak to you guys about creativity. You know, I've been hyper creative ever since I was a small boy. And I would just pick up comic books and watch cartoons and immerse myself into all these different ideas, dimensions, ways of being, different styles of humor. And I also grew up in international schools, so I got to observe how people behave from all these different cultures, And it's only till I grew older that I started to realize and awaken to the fact that creativity is our birthright. It is within everybody to be creative, but the first step is in tuning your instrument. So tune your instrument or you get played by life, okay? What do I mean by tuning your instrument? Just like we have 7 strings, 7 chakras, 7 octaves. We gotta tune these chakras, correct? Just like you wanna understand how your own harmony, your own sense of harmony, right? What is harmony? Harmony is when music sounds pleasant, correct? So there needs to be a pleasantness, a blissfulness within your beingness to be activating your creativity, right? And it's only when we perceive or realize emptiness that we can actually start tapping into this creative potentiality, this spiritual potentiality as well, I guess you could call it. Now, when we go into the practices of deity yoga, we have to completely dissolve our sense of self. And today we did a self generation, a practice of deity yoga, guru yoga, where we imagined ourselves just going to sleep and not waking up the next day and being born in a hell realm and realizing it's too late, right? And this was an ignition for the spark of our renunciation. Renunciation meaning you are not attached to the worldly pleasures, desires, and you're able to activate, let's say, this profundity, it basically steers and engineers the path of enlightenment a lot smoother, okay? So the hidden code of creativity is this. Creativity is flowing through you. And once you tune your instrument right, meaning what? You eat clean, you work out, you do some form of exercise, you get good sleep and rest, you stop eating junk food, you stop doom scrolling, you stop watching so much porn, you stop overfeeding your brain with all this kind of dopamine. And then you'll realize there are less distortions in my mind. Like, you know how when we hear bad music, what do we call it? Discord, right? It's discordant. It's not harmonious. There's also 2 goddesses, if you know, Harmonia and Discordia. One is chaos, one is harmony. So we want to create more harmony, and by creating more harmony, you have to understand that the conductor of an orchestra, they stand with their back to the audience, correct? So they're not doing it for some kind of appeasement or, it's their work, it's their duty, it's their dharma. So they're showing up, and they're the conductors, and they're conducting this entire group of people who are playing these different instruments. Now he's saying that, turn up the volume on this and, put down the volume on that instrument. So, and he's doing this with the flick of a wrist, or like a magic wand, almost in a sense, right? So if we use this analogy for our own lives, where are you conducting this creativity in your own life? Where are you understanding that I am the engineer of my consciousness? I'm here to manifest things smoother. Not like I have to keep pushing and forcing my way to get my goals, okay? And anyway, I hate the word goals. I'd rather use the word intention, because that's overarching, and I truly believe that intentions set for a container of time can truly help us evolve. But again, it's just the way that I use my vocabulary, right? So a different word might resonate with you, okay? But the point being, you could be a musician, you could be an artist, but you could also be an entrepreneur. You could also be somebody who's just doing a desk job at IT, okay? It doesn't matter what you're doing. It's where you're activating the creativity. Elizabeth Gilbert has this thing called big magic. So whenever there is a idea floating around in the ether, right, and we don't grasp onto it, we don't claim it, someone else will, right? And so this is why you find you thought of an idea and now it's already, germinating on social media. So what happened there, right? There was a propellant. There was an activation that led you there, right? When you tap your body, when you breathe differently, you can create different states of mind, states of being, altered states of consciousness. And through that, you can slowly start to wear the mask and take the mask off of the ego. To understand that there is this persona, right? There's this character that wants to be liked, that wants to be validated, that, wants to have all these great things in life. But it's also trying to sabotage you at the same time, right? It's also trying to maneuver you and keep you drip feeding on samsara, right? Rather than an effortlessness, a flow state essence, as I call it, okay? If you're new to the channel, by the way, it's good to have you on here. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe button. It would really support the algorithm for me. And of course, I want people to know about this monastery as well. So I think we're like the first kind of few guests who have activated and shown up here. It seems that way. I don't know that for sure, but it was a very, very pleasant 2 days that I've had here. So peaceful, I don't think I've had this much quiet in quite a long time, because you guys know, right? Back at home, I live right next to a bridge, so this is quite potent for me. And also I'm getting a lot of deep downloads from my spirit guides here, in very, very unique ways too, right? Like ways that I would never expect. So how did this process start with me channeling, right? I understood channeling is actually the hidden code of creativity. That to be able to be creative, or to get an idea sparking in your mind, or some kind of an inspiration, just like Hendrix on the guitar, or or like Pablo Picasso, right, on a canvas, or like Tesla, going into his dream realms and these different astral world, and like bringing ideas from there, right, from these different beings, or all of that is possible and more. I truly believe it, because if somebody else has done it before, you can do it too. You just have to understand their code. Every individual has their own set of principles that they really abide by and they follow. And they usually talk about it the most. So that's the way you'll figure it out, is what can they endlessly talk about? That's the first aspect of the code. The second aspect of the code is, what did you grow up around? Understand that all your influences have a very big impact on your creativity. The next thing is the first impression. What is the first impression that you get of someone? That's usually a part of their creativity code. And then if you reflect back on the last 5 to 10 years, you will start to also know, okay, there's certain things that I was very drawn to in these last 5 to 10 years, Let me think about that. What evolved? What changed over time? What decisions did I have to make, right? And all of this together creates something called your Eulerian destiny, which creates a code for you in terms of your creativity. And if you can understand, you don't care about who's listening. It's just the message is important, and you know that it's important. It's a deep knowingness that this is going to shift something. This is going to move something within me and others, right? It's not just about little old me and my little ego trying to survive here in this world. It's about me realizing that all beings are my mothers and fathers, right? This is a deep revelation today during the meditation that I had. In my past lives, I've had mothers. Where are those mothers today? They're in the people, right? They're in the people. They're in the people you're interacting with. So you have countless mothers, you have countless fathers, right? And if you think like that, it's going to create what is called this bodhicitta, right? Now, there's many aspects of this, obviously. I don't want to, butcher this. But bodhicitta is that compassionate heart, that understanding that, what if I was born as a woman, or a dude in a wheelchair that had a tragic accident, or what if I was trapped in a hell realm, or what if I was, addicted to drugs and riddled with, all these aches and pains in my body from drip feeding myself heroin. What if, right? What if? I don't want to look back on my life and think, it's too late for me now. I don't want to live in that regret. You see what I'm saying? So this puts you in the activation pocket of your life. Because you're like, I'm creating this presence, and I understand that everybody else is also on a journey of spiritual mastery in their own ways, right? Some people have just forgotten. Maybe they've grown very old and it's difficult, their bodies have withered. But this idea of us getting older and wrinkling, I think people are wrinkling themselves out of this flesh body into the light body. That's really what's happening, right? Now, that's a very unique perspective. You can take it whichever way you want to look at that. But this is why I don't fear the river of life. The rivers of life, the 4 rivers of life is birth, aging, sickness, and death. And we keep going through this lifetime after lifetime after lifetime. Whereas you realize these people that you're seeing are not these static beings, they're dynamic, right? Like the person you're annoyed with and triggered by right now to this day is not the same, right? If you realize that they were once a dorky kid in high school, they grew up, they went through this entire process of living life, right? And now that they are who they are now, but you can't see what the timeline holds for them in the future. They could be completely different, right? They could change, and this change is the constant. So this is also another aspect of creativity, really, is to embrace the change, right? To be adaptable, to be weavable with your energies. Because I'm milking this situation to the best of my ability. And this is why you want to remain multidimensional as a being. Don't get so caught up in being one specific way all the time. I only post shoes, that's my content. Go out of your range a little bit, try something new. Experiment. I think experimentation is a huge part of creativity. And it's all about the present moment. So what can I do right now that's going to expand my creativity even more? Just ask yourself that. You will get an answer back because your mind and brain always have an answer to everything you ask it, right? So you might as well ask it positive, profound questions that give you inner revelations, insights, deep contemplation. But also being very surgical with your approach, not this wishy-washy, most spiritual people, no offense, but you're walking around like zombies, right? Where's the life force energy? Where's the Vajra? That's no judgment on them because obviously everybody's going through their own journey, right? I could judge someone for being overweight, but they have a medical condition. It is what it is. That's their deck of cards, right? You could imagine, what if you self-generated as a really overweight person and you really understood what it feels like to be that heavy, right? Where your knees start aching because of the pain of your physical body weight, right? It would humble you. It would actually make you return back to your center, back to your foundation, right? This is why in the chakra system, we start with the foundation. With a weak foundation, we cannot build, right? And so this is why you ground, you do the inner work, you ground, and then you build it up to the heart chakra, which becomes an amplifier. And then as this starts to fire off, then the higher chakras start to lighten up. And this is how we're able to pull in these ideas, streams of insight, different downloads, right? That's where creativity comes from. It's from that emptying of the mind, of not trying to grasp onto everything, not trying to cling onto everything. This is my art, right? This is my name on it. This is my brand name. No, it's not. It's just flowing through you, right? So you might as well embrace it in that way. This is the true hidden gift of creativity. Because once you get this, you don't need to return to anything else. You don't need to binge watch, 500 podcasts or, go on a psychedelic spree. A lot of the beginning of my spiritual journey was pretty much me in my spiritual ego, okay? And I started to understand that this is not serving me or anybody else for that matter, right? My little old persona mask gets validated, sure. That's cute, right? But so what? Where's the impact? Where's the ripple effect, right? I want to be a walking Jedi, a ripple effect, wherever I go. That's the energy, at least. So splash away, okay? You just embrace the present moment, because it's right here. It's right here. So if I remove my name, if I remove my body, if I remove all my characteristics, my ego starts to starve. It wants to find a way to validate itself. That's why it goes into vanity, trying to check itself out in the mirror. But that's only your physical body. Imagine how your spiritual body looks. You could be one of the most gorgeous models in the world, but you're spiritually starving. And this is also a key element of creativity and why we need to tap into higher frequencies, higher dimensions of beauty in these celestial mansions, okay? With these holy beings chilling with you, an entire retinue of these holy beings around you. Why? Because you've allowed them in. You keep them in your mind, so they're welcome here. If you resist that, is that true? Is this the right path? The self-doubt kicks in. I'm not sure if this is, I don't know what he's saying really. Maybe I'll read into it a little bit more so that I understand it. Nope. That's not intuition. That's not creativity. Creativity is allowing. Non-resistance. Once you allow, there's more room to breathe. And with more room to breathe, you feel a spaciousness. Just think about it. And all the ways you've been insecure, that's how you've been judging others. You've been insecure about your looks, that's what you point out in people. You've been insecure about your money, that's all you talk about, is how broke you are. So whatever we lack, the more we yap about it, okay? Uncle Makara quotable. Like for instance, people who don't have a relationship, they crave to be intimate with another person, all they talk about is sex. Because they're starved, they're deprived of it. And this deprivation of anything, the scarcity mentality, blocks this creativity. When you start comparing your art piece to other people's, you take away from the beauty of that organic mystery that just formed through you. So relish and savor the beauty of your own creations. Because once you can, the rest is like clockwork. I've been using this little mantra counter. So far, I'm at 1,000 a day, okay? So I've said Guru Rinpoche, Padmasambhava's mantra, 1,000 times. Today, I am on 300 still. I still have way more to do. But so be it. This is how I'm charging my 5 bodies, through mantra practice. And it's gotten to a point of like parachanting, right? I'm not fully saying the mantra, but I know the essence of it, and it's very quick in my mind already because my mind is prepping for it to already loop. Sort of like a reprogramming that I'm doing, right? From the inside out. And that's what self-generation is. That's what deity yoga and what we teach on this channel, and if you join the ADEPS program, is this realization that you can let go. You can be an empty vessel. And once you're empty and you're aligned with your mission, idea drops in, right? The best-selling book, boom, right there. The world's greatest movie that you just directed, boom, right there. Suddenly an idea for an NGO that changes and transforms your entire worldview. And it's for a cause that you really believe in, like your soul is invested in that. Another level up in your creativity. So remember, you are created by the Creator to create. And what would be the opposite of creation? Destruction. So when you're trying to destroy yourself, you're trying to destroy others in a way to harm others. I'm not saying ego destruction or whatever, but killing yourself until all that remains is godhood. A lot of people, they get to a very low point in their life and they become suicidal because their ego mind identity has so much static and noise that they wish they could just escape this incarnation, right? I want out of this place. Instead of what? Reinvention. Alchemy, right? Alchemy was never about pouring a liquid into a container and gases and bases like your science class. It was a metaphor for spiritual purification. You take those annoying, disgusting, weird, limiting beliefs of yours, strange symptoms, right? And you transmute it into an elixir, into a gold, into a mindset that can sharpen you and move you further than anything that has ever been seen. So really think about this today. Tap in. I'm going to create more regular videos as I go back. But right now I have a video stream going here, and I'm just going to let it organically flow. So excuse me if some videos are pending, but let's get it today. Upward Spiral gang. May we never be the same again. Let's go. Upward Spiral. Let's win. Thank you for being here. Oh.